Excellent. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the mat with me today on this gorgeous summer day. Isn't it incredible? Like intoxicating. Yeah, so thanks for coming inside. I know even with windows open, sometimes it's like, but I just want to be outside all the time. I know I've been doing this and that and the other thing and using my body in all kinds of ways. I feel like that's the classic height of summer. I'm kind of curious, how many of you are kind of a little sore, a little tight from, okay, a couple people did, okay, wait, maybe only 2 people out of like 12 did raise their hands. So, okay, I think we've got a thing going here. And I've been meeting up with lots of people who are just re-entering their yoga practice for the first time in a while. And I just want to remind you of a couple of things. Number one, this is your practice. And number two, every time you come to the mat, it's different. And I think that's really important, especially if you're somebody who has a long-standing yoga practice. And even if you've been getting to the mat every day, every week, it's going to be different each time. And that is why the most important, I think, skill set that we come to the mat with is our active noticing. Basically, we want the muscle, the noticer muscle, to be strong when we're entering our practice and throughout our practice. I'm stunned by how different my body can be every day and how all of a sudden I'll be like, wow, why when I rotate to the left is it so hard? You know, I didn't know that as I was just walking around or doing dishes. So yoga allows us to make all these shapes that allows us to know better what's going on with our body. The other thing that yoga gives us that I think is really precious is this dedicated time with ourselves, right? Nobody needs anything from you, that includes me. So there's nothing else to pay attention to. You know, I think even when you're, walking, which can be very meditative, often you're like, squirrel, right? We saw a squirrel on the way into Family Learning Center today, squirrel, bird, all beauty, all good. But right now in this space, the most important thing you can notice is what's happening internally. So if you find some place of discovery in a particular pose, or maybe it's just total stillness, please feel free to hang out there until you've taken whatever you can from that experience. So I'm always excited when I look out and basically everybody's doing something slightly different. That's really thrilling to me. We are going to start off on our bellies this morning, which I know we haven't done in quite a long time. And I'm choosing that on purpose because I want to help each of us cultivate a greater state of introversion. There's so much beautiful stuff to pay attention to in this world. All of our beautiful people, all the beautiful things out of nature, our calendars, our phones. So for this moment, taking your position on your belly, maybe you're placing your arms to support your temple of your head, your forehead. You're giving your body a chance to settle with gravity, and you're giving your abdomen the beautiful reference point of the floor and your mat, so that as you now begin to breathe deeply, letting that inhale expand the abdomen, and I hope it then moves into your back body and you feel that getting a gentle, beautiful massage. And please have your arms and your head positioned wherever is comfortable. You can shift them, move them. And obviously, if being on your abdomen is just not comfortable, please roll over. I'm going to be here for a little bit. I'm going to ask you to join me first in turning your gaze up and in. So it's as if you are looking straight back into the center of the forehead. And ask, what can I see there? Is there colors, darkness, points of light? And then please see deeper into the body where you're feeling the breath, where you're feeling fabric moving against your clothing, against your skin. So it's like you're a little clue chaser, treasure hunter. I want you to notice how many different places on your body can you notice the fabric moving or the breath touching you. And then to our next clue hunt, can you please find that moment of pause that exists between the turns of the breath? So we have our active inhale and exhale. We have a moment in between those active parts of the breath is like floating, I hope, or like a pause in a piece of beautiful music. From this place of deep body awareness, we're going to take a moment with our being awareness. What has it been like to be you lately? You had just a very dear friend asking you that question, someone you felt free to be completely honest with. What words would come spilling from you? I invite you to rejoice and celebrate the parts of being you that have just been lovely and fun and rich and whatever words you put on it. And any of the parts that have been challenging or hard, I'd love to do two things with. One is recognize some of the fuel, if you will, that gives us to be being safe, well-rounded humans. And then take a moment to release any of it that is ready to move on. Let's take 3 sighing breaths, inhaling slow, deep, and wide as if it's all you'd ever do. And then through the mouth. Do a couple more. Each exhale an opportunity to cleanse the system, more space for fresh breath, fresh energy. Again, please making any adjustment you need to make for your neck comfort. But we're now going to bend the knees and begin just windshield wipering the feet side to side. And I like to go nice and slow. You don't want to be whipping them around and kind of pulling on the low back. And just observing, if you can, any subtle differences from your legs going to the left versus the right. You might feel it in your low back, your hips. You might feel it up that kind of IT band line. And then if you'd like, switch so that you're crossing and uncrossing the ankles. And notice what that's like. Your knees and hips and low back. But then we're going to release the legs back to the floor the way they were. And we're going to take our arms behind us in jet airplane, forehead resting on the floor. Anchor those butt cheeks down, very important. Then inhale, extend, blossom into your first jet airplane of the day, I'm guessing. And exhale, return. And you can get all limp and floppy if you want until that next inhale comes. Palms facing the earth, shoulder head sliding down the back and away from the floor. And exhale, return, get floppy. Inhale, initiating motion, extending into your next jet airplane. And releasing. Once more, settling, getting heavy. And now I'm going to invite you to just rock your hips. So you're just going kind of hip bone, hip bone, hip bone, hip bone. And this is marvelous for our digestion. It's also really, really good for our nervous system, helping get us into the parasympathetic nervous system, working on our vagus nerve a little bit. So it's lovely for mood. And we're going to do this just a little bit longer. Obviously, if this hurts your knees or your pubic bone or something, don't do it or adapt it. Otherwise, just another couple of breaths. Rock, 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 rock. You got it. And then get still and notice what that's like. We're going to turn our faces to the right if they aren't already, and bring our right knee out to the side in kind of a half frog. Yeah, some people sleep this way. And enjoy a long breath in and out. And at some point on your exhale, engage that right butt cheek down towards the floor. Some of us, this will be quite a stretch, others, no big deal. I'm going to invite you to extend your spine a little bit. So again, kind of coming up in a little bit of a jetter plane or a cobra back, and then lift your knee if you can and return it back. And if that way of doing it doesn't work for you, then just drag it on back, kind of let it, brush the floor. We'll turn our face to the left, bring our left knee out. Big inhale. I hope you experience it all the way down to the pelvis, getting a nice hip massage from the inside. And at some point, engaging that left butt cheek down towards the floor. And breathing into that stretch, gentle or otherwise. And then gently extending the spine, nice glute contraction. See if you can lift your leg and return it. If not, just drag it along the floor. You got it. All right, we're going to plant our hands for a little cobra back. And it's super important that you've got your shoulders down and back. Yeah, and those elbows are in. So yeah, in fact, thanks for reminding me, my favorite tool. Lift your hands off the floor and get those elbows in and shoulders back. Then plant the hands. Plant the pelvis. Inhale, extend. Exhale, return. Please resist the temptation to look forward and instead look down at the mat like there's a beautiful love note for you there. Say, you are most fabulous. Good morning. All right, now I'm going to ask you to extend your arms forward. Don't feel that you have to have them directly forward the shoulder joints, right? They could be out in a little bit of a V. And then we're simply going to extend that heart forward again. I've just got my hands in a nice, intelligent hand position. And then exhale, release. Keep those hands wide and take the palms facing each other. So our Superman pose, we haven't done that in a while. We're not going to come high. In fact, I want you to not come up high, okay? Just slightly, anchor pelvis, or actually anchor pelvis and just slightly. Raise your chest and hands off the floor. So just like an inch, my pinkies are maybe an inch and a half off the floor. Notice what that's like. Take another breath, let it pulse you. And relax, turn your head to the side again or whatever's comfortable. You can rock the hips, take a deep belly breath. Lovely. Then we're going to plant the hands to move back to child's pose. And once again, we want that. No wings, no shrugs. Straighten the arms. Then use that beautiful core of yours to send the hips back. Take the knees wide. Big belly breath, wave rising. I hope you feel it all the way up into your chest and ribs. We're going to do a little thread the needle here. So if being on your knees like this is problematic and you want to do a nice seated or standing version, feel free, okay? Otherwise, keeping the left arm straight and active, take your right hand and weave it underneath the left arm. That's why we call it thread the needle. You're kind of weaving it in. And see if you can settle onto your right shoulder and kind of onto the right temple-ish. Breathing here itself can give marvelous, marvelous stretching. I also find that I can sometimes do a little pulsing. And so by that, I mean that I'm going to intentionally rotate my chest a little towards the floor and away from the floor. So just a little movement through there. When you're ready to release, I like to bring my left hand towards my body. So it's just more supportive. And then I'm going to lift up Plant that right hand forward, take that left hand underneath, threading the needle. Right away, it's valuable, I think, to ask, is this side different? Do you notice a different level or location of stretch? Because potentially we're getting a stretch, not just in the shoulder, we talk about this being a shoulder stretch, but really it's all the way down into the waistline. Do you guys feel that? I'm not the only one that's tight enough to feel it there, am I? Okay, good. But you know, we kind of forget that, like, you know, our arms are connected to everything else. We go, yeah, when I reach my arm, it requires an allowance of giving in of all those muscles further down. See if you can touch the tight spots with your breath. Again, pulsing, etc. When you're ready to come out, again, it can be safest if you've got shoulder stuff, especially to bring your right hand back towards you and then lift out of that position. You got it. We're going to come right up onto hands and knees at table top. Nice intelligent hands, fingers spread. Inhaling cow, drawing the heart forward, tailbone back. Again, resisting the tendency, the temptation to look forward. Exhaling, tucking the tailbone. Think about spreading, getting more space between those blades. Oh yeah. A couple more just like that. Letting breath initiate motion. Especially on the cow pose where I've got my chest drawn forward, if I can be patient and really seek that last little bit of inhale, I'm hoping you'll actually get some stretch through the intercostals and maybe up into your clavicle. On your next exhale, cat back, hold, and send your head to the right, ribs to the left. And switching and playing and noticing. Head to the left, ribs to the right, and so on. And then I'm going to invite you to make some circles. So it's like you're kind of drawing circles with your hips and your chest. And you can go one way, other. We're going to come into our first downward facing dog or bear pose. So bear pose, usually the hands are wider, the feet and knees are wider. That's the big difference. And in bear pose, we always have our knees deeply bent. I'm going to ask you to do that even if you're doing your downward dog. So even if you've got your hands and feet in the normal position, everyone deep knee bend. Send your hips high, send your belly towards your thighs. I'm going to ask you to let breath really inform your pose here. So for me, that means on the inhale, kind of letting my chest come away from my thighs. I'm kind of letting my shoulders come a little more over my wrists, not completely just that direction. And then on the exhale, the other way, sending the hips up and back, getting really long through the arms and rooting into the earth with my hands. Feeling the beautiful benefit of an inversion. You can let any tension you want right off the top of your head. And then if your feet aren't already wide, take them wide before walking your hands back towards your feet, settling into your ragdoll. So ragdoll, again, be different than forward fold, where people sometimes straighten their knees. I'm intentionally inviting you to deepen your knee bend. And there's so many gifts in that, and I hope you're loving it. You get a hamstring stretch. I'm hoping you're feeling it right in the knee or the belly of the ham, not right behind the knee or right up into the butt. Yeah, good. I'm seeing some nice swinging and swaying. I love it. When you're ready to come up, I'd love it if you could with me kind of sit your butt into a chair. So you've actually got a straight line from your butt to your spine and then come up versus lifting this way, which can sometimes pull the back, depending on where our belly's at that day. Keeping with your feet wide, I'm going to have you just settle into an imaginary chair, just like that. And I've got my arms in front of me because I find having arms up immediately creates a bunch of tension. So that's why mine are here. I want to keep my neck nice and loose. Good. I'm gonna ask you to just notice subtly what happens if you shift your weight back towards your heels a little and forward a little. Notice the different parts of your body that light up. And then try to find what feels like neutral in this position, which I realize is not a neutral stance. You're definitely using some muscles. Nice. Then inhale, root and rise. Feel your power down through all four corners of the feet. Holding up till there's simply no more inhale, and exhaling, resolve. We're going to bring those hands around behind in Yoga Mudra. A reminder, if you feel any pull, like right at the front of the joint here in like bicep tendon area, etc., that I would not do Yoga Mudra. And regardless, we all want to be really careful because again, we don't know what's in our body today, right? So when you're ready, you're intertwining the hands, fingers, or using a strap or a scarf to give you a little more space. The goal number one is to be able to get the arms straight and allow the shoulder heads to really work their way back. Yeah. Can you do this and stay pretty relaxed in the neck? Just do your best. And then as you're ready, pressing the hands away from the butt. If you can't, and those arms are kind of bent, definitely take a hold of a strap or a sock or something. We want those arms to go click and they're straight. And then ever so subtly, just rotate right and left. And I'd love you to notice some things. Notice how it changes the stretch. Notice if you hold to one side where the breath gets directed. So I can notice it really filling different parts of the rib cage. Marvelous. And then at some point, bring those hands around in front. And we're just going to round, kind of a standing cat back with our arms like this. Yeah, and then one of my favorites, I think someone called this driving the bus. I don't know why. Kind of giving yourself another little side stretch. Marvelous. And now we're ready to love up our neck a little bit. Nice support from the hands. I'm just letting my fingertips touch at the back, creating kind of a collar around which I can roll the head. This is a chance to notice what's in your neck muscles. So often we use our neck muscles when we don't need to. We can, tighten them. I've met so many people who constantly shrug while they're talking, like to display emotion or what have you. But there are people who constantly say, God, my neck is so tight. I'm like, you're constantly using it to lift your shoulders. Like, don't do that. It's really hard to retrain ourselves, but I invite you to just, while you're feeling the texture of your neck, to kind of reflect. And what's it been like to be you? How much do you use your neck when you maybe don't need to? If you've been in a hurry, you've been maybe engaging it. And that can all translate into the jaw. So we're just going to do a little jaw love up. If you have your hands back at this occipital ridge when you do lion stretch, you should feel those muscles just like boom, go into effort. So when you're ready, a nice opening of the jaw. So I'm feeling a good jaw stretch, but also I'm feeling those muscles work. Yeah, let's do a few of them. You can also stick out the tongue if you want. That's great for stretching those throat tissues. I know we've got a lot of stuff blooming and allergens right now. Good. Swallow, and then please bring your hands right here to kind of your temples. And we're going to just rub that temple area. And then I'm going to invite you to draw down. So I'm just using my fingers to kind of go over the cheekbone and draw down. And I'm going to let my jaw go a little flat. And there might be somewhere right in there when you open your jaw that you can feel is like, oh man, there's some tension in there. I mean, maybe not, but it could be from emotional tension. I've had it come from like eating tons of corn chips or other like really hard chewy things, carrots, where I've just been like, wow, my jaw's kind of sore. So just notice what you got. Good. And then if you don't care about your hairdo, take your fingers and just give yourself a big scalp rub. And if you don't want to do that right now, fine, but promise me you will do it later. we're gonna find our standing mountain stance. Mountain is our base for all our standing postures. Tadasana, you want your feet kind of right below those hip bones, not out kind of by the fleshy part of the hips. So when you feel your way into your feet, again, it should feel neutral. Find forward, back, inner, outer, until you feel quite lightly planted. I'm gonna start the day with just breaths here and standing, because this is a lot of how we spend our life on our feet. At least I hope so, more than seated. But we're often standing or walking or waiting. I want you to see if you can find in this moment where there's nothing else to give your attention to, a sense of strength and peace in the pose. So a sense of rooting into the earth, rising up through the crown, kind of like where my old top knot is, until you feel a softness of the neck and jaw. Just a light connection to the tongue, roof of the mouth. I feel like yoga practices often emphasize being tall or being open, which is wonderful. But often I think that emphasis can create tension through the neck as we try to be taller or we try to be open. So I'm going to ask you to scan that area until you can get it just super liquidy soft. And we're going to try to maintain that throughout our whole practice. Our first test is going to be a balancing posture. So we're going to bring those feet in, big toes touching. And you may start with your eyes open, but at some point when we're in the pose, I'd love you to try closing your eyes. I'll be doing it too. So first we're going to bring the right foot into kickstand. Then if you'd like, you're bringing it up onto the calf, never on the knee, at the calf below the knee. And see if you can bring that knee out. We're working towards that kind of 90-degree angle. We don't care if it ever gets there. But if you squeeze your glutes a little forward, you might find that it's easier. Versus sometimes people kind of end up rounded and bringing that knee forward. Use those butt cheeks forward to blossom the front of the body. And you can keep your hands in prayer, or you can kind of do a hug emoji, or pretend you're your favorite kind of tree. As you're starting to lose balance or wobble a little bit, I'd like you to give your attention to staying soft in the eyes, the tongue, the jaw, the breath, slow and steady. If you've not been wobbling much, close your eyes for a couple breaths. And when you do come out, pause, scan the body, notice what that created. So I felt a lot of work in my standing leg, but also I want to notice subtle things, like I said, neck, so on. All right, we'll come to the other side. You guys are so awesome. Seeing so many great smiles and playful attitudes. If you're bringing your foot up onto your calf, explore with flaring your toes out away from the leg. So what we call yoga toes. So I'm flexing my toes back towards my kneecap. Will actually help with balancing. And then the other thing is to remember to be squeezing those legs inward. And if you're not sure if you are, give it up. Kind of actually intentionally go into kind of a hip cock. Like let that right hip just cock out to the side. And then intentionally squeeze both thighs towards each other. And I'm hoping you feel yourself come into this beautiful strength. Then challenge it with a brief close of the eyes. Isn't balancing fun? It's absolutely difficult to pay attention to anything else. Isn't that great? No one was thinking about their calendars or anything like that. Let's go into a ragdoll. I'm going to take my feet wide again. Let the head hang. Give it a little side to side. And when you're ready to rise, please remember, drop that butt into your imaginary chair. So in other words, once you move, you should be able to see me. And so if you're coming up like this, your vision's staying on the ground, you're rounding the back. Everybody, let's try it. Go ahead and fold. No rounding in the back, no looking down. In one movement, drop your butt into your chair and look forward. Yes, now use those powerful thighs to come up. I like it. And then we're just gonna go right into this expression, powerful expression. Go ahead and look side to side at your arms and see if you've got them kind of parallel with the body. Sometimes people go behind and we don't want to do that, or they're in front. If you can, side to side, close your eyes. Breathe with me, inviting breath into the sides, front and back of the ribs. Okay, we're going to do a fun little stretch we've not done in a while. Let your left arm come down, bring your right hand up and try to pat yourself on the back, right there at the center of the spine. And just this, I find, is quite a wonderful stretch. I'm going to think about sending my right elbow back and just kind of lifting my chest upward. Nice. If you would like to try and add the lower end, you're going to rotate your left palm back and then try to slide the back of the hand, scoochy scooch, up to see if you can connect your fingers. It's kind of fun even to touch them, but they don't have to in order for you to get the stretch. But in this stretch, we want to keep thinking about bringing the elbows in towards the body, neck neutral. Take a couple more breaths. If any part of this isn't working for you, enjoy maybe just doing shoulder circles or any other shape that feels like it gives them some increased freedom. Now to come out very slow, especially with that bottom arm, and unwind into your jet airplane arms. Notice. All right, let's find the other one. We're going to take that left arm up and give ourselves a pat on the back. So one of the things that I've learned about my body, and I notice it every time, is I'm so much tighter through the tricep in this left arm. So I sometimes will take my free hand and kind of go, come on, buddy, and I'll press it back just a little bit. Yeah, and then I like the stretch that happens when I arrive there. If it's too much, don't do that, right? And again, I'm going to try to just raise my chest up a little bit, get my neck nice and neutral. I'm going to take a deep breath and feel what that gives me. Then if you'd like, adding the lower arm, palm is facing back, the back of the hand scoochy scooches, as far up as it comfortably can. Notice if this hand is touching or not, or how far apart compared to the other one. Another breath or two. Notice what's happening. Do you get any nerve tingles, any funky pulls? And again, a nice gentle coming out, especially with that lower arm as you return to your jet airplane arms. Lovely. Let's roll those wrists out. Warrior flow. And warrior is just wonderful, wonderful shapes, right? What's critical that I think is often missed as we're trying is finding that place that we want to be, like mentally, emotionally, energetically in it, which is feeling powerfully rooted and stable, but very peaceful, very resilient, very able to take what comes, also very able to speak up if we need to, if we see something's out of whack in the world, right? Someone's being rude or, whatever needs to happen, we're ready to respond appropriately. That's appropriate warrior energy. So it's very different than being engaged like that. So I'm hoping now you're all like liquid loose through there and you'll be able to watch for that. Nice, slow, deep breaths. We'll start into Tadasana, mountain pose, front of the mat. Noticing all four corners of the feet, a sense of root and rise without tension. And notice the light pressure, palm to palm. You can also lightly touch the thumbs to your sternum bone. A sense of I am here. This moment, this body, this breath. Opening your eyes and soft drishti gaze. Long inhale, sweeping slowly out and up. Remember, you never have to bring the hands together, so wherever you want to resolve. Exhaling prayer hands, lifting the left knee, standing crane. All the same challenges of balancing and tree apply here. Breathe in spite of the wobble. Soften the neck and the mouth in spite of the wobble. Just briefly, if you would with me, extend that leg forward. Doesn't matter how high, but a nice straight knee. Hiya. And then send it back, crescent lunge. So your right hip bone back, left hip bone forward. This ability to kind of squeeze those inner thighs towards each other is what creates the stability. You should feel like if someone comes along and pushes you, you're like, nope, I am here. And then I'd love you to add arms that feel easeful. Maybe prayer hands again, maybe jet airplane, hug emoji up. Maybe it's moving. Sometimes I love just, organic movement here. Observing another flow, rise and settling of breath. On your next exhale, if your arms aren't already up, you'll want to start with them up. On your next exhale, we're just going to rotate to the right and look out over that right hand. Good. Now, staying with your arms out, bring your head back to a more neutral position that feels easeful. Let's take a full breath there. Big inhale, it might bring you out of your twist a little. On your exhale, imagine someone's pulling on your arms. And I hope it takes you deeper into a twist. If you want to look out over the hand again, you can. We'll do that one more. Nice neutraling of the head. Big inhale, exhale. Someone's pulling on your arms. Marvelous. Back to center and then warrior two. So warrior two, that left foot is 90 degrees to the edge of the mat. You got it. Check it out. Give yourself a nice pulse of the hips towards that front heel to make sure you've got a good alignment. Knee is tracking with the foot, and we feel just easeful and strong. And let's send those arms out from the heart. Yeah, you guys look good. You're looking neutral and upright in the spine, no leaning or striving, just ease. Maybe palms are down or up for platter hands. Maybe you're looking out behind. Let's do one more wave breath. You might even lift a little on the inhale and exhale, settle a little. Good. Inhaling, rise up with that right arm straightening both legs. I'm going to hold here. I'm going to take that left arm around in a partial bind. So sort of similar to what you were doing in our stretch a little bit ago, but not as extreme, just let that palm be kind of on the back, center back around that kind of right waistline. Again, if this bothers the shoulder in any way, then don't do it. As you're ready, we're going to slowly come into our lateral stretch, right elbow settling to the right thigh, seeing if you can keep that left shoulder back over the right. And I'm going to look down at the floor because my neck greatly prefers that. Then as you're ready, I want you to ever so slowly unwind that left arm and reach out beyond the top of the head. Breathe into that beautiful long line from your left foot to your left middle finger. And then start circling with me. I'm going to rotate my chest towards the floor, swing my arm down to the floor or towards it, and then back and up. And I'm going to let my rib cage follow all that circling until I'm ready to plant that left hand either on the floor, or remember you can always grab a block. That can be quite nice. Give yourself enough space left to right between the legs. I'm on the ball of my back foot, and I'm going to rotate open through the right arm. Again, looking down at the floor or wherever is easiest. And then slowly you might bring that arm forward and reach for the wall in front of you. Before releasing, downward facing dog. We want to be super in our core when we do that, right? So lift that belly into the spine, lift the foot, or however you can do it. Intelligent hands, let's pedal it out. Oh, pressing one heel towards the floor and the other. And this is our first chance at dog series together this morning. So as you come into your first plank, I really recommend knees down. It's a great place to be able to see where your shoulder's at. Make sure your hands are right below those shoulders. And as you exhale chaturanga, it might just be a 1-inch elbow bend. The hips don't move. Remember, the first thing to settle into the floor should be your lips or your chest. Then plant the pelvis, inhale cobra. Or if you want, turn it to an upward facing dog. You can come onto the feet, either tops or balls on the feet. Exhaling, press back either child's pose or downward facing dog. Inviting you to take a few breaths there. So I know for some people, as we practice longer, downward facing dog can become a settling or resting pose. We can all meet at the front of the mat for our warrior flow on the other side. So you might walk the hands back to the feet forward to the hands. You might come up. Starting once again in Tadasana, scanning for power and peace. On a long inhale, sweeping out and out. Really feeling the shoulders, noticing what's there. Exhaling, prayer hands, right knee lifts, standing praying. Noticing any little funky adaptations we make when we start to struggle with balance. Do you tighten your jaw, your tongue, or anything funky? Let's slowly and firmly extend that front leg, flexing through the heel, so you're really lighting up that quadricep, and then stepping back, crescent lunge. And your arms can be wherever you like as we hang out here for a few breaths. Left hip bone steering back, right hip bone steering forward. Yeah. And my hope is that just makes you feel super stable, like it'll be hard to push you over. Okay, good. Thanks for, you guys are getting attention. Just beautiful detail. I love it. Then at some point, we're going to raise our arms, preparing for our little twist. On our exhale, we're going to rotate left and open those arms into a big hug emoji and look out over that back hand if you can. Good. Then neutral the neck, so the head is now sort of coming back a little bit towards the chest. Big inhale. Exhale, rotate more deeply, like someone's pulling on your arms, and maybe look out over the hand again if you liked that. If it makes your neck tense, don't do it. One more. Inhale, neutral out a little bit. And exhale, one more big pull on the arms. Ha. Marvelous. And slowly back and opening up to our warrior two. So I often find I need to deepen my stance, and I need to increase the length between my feet in order to get my best Virabhadrasana 2 pose. So give it a couple of example pulses where you're pressing the hips towards that front heel. Make sure that power is coming from that back foot. This is important because otherwise you will collapse your knee and put pressure on the knee. Even if it's subtle, it's powerful. We don't want to do it. So it's all coming from pushing it here. Yeah. Arms are out, hug emoji. It's just warrior two, but I don't know, hug emoji, I like it. Yeah. And where does your neck like to be? This is a great moment to check in. How does it feel when you look behind? Where do you feel it in your body? How does it feel when you look just to the side, so to the right side of the mat here? And how does it feel when you're looking forward after that hand? Inhaling, straighten both legs, reach up through that left arm. Slowly bring that right hand around in a partial bind. Again, adapting any of these, taking the parts that work for you. Sometimes you don't even know till you get there. You're like, oh, my right shoulder is like this, right? So then don't do it. But remember and notice. Good. Slowly forward to your lateral stretch, starting with elbow to thigh. Getting that right shoulder back over the left. And then slowly unwinding and reaching forward and breathing deeply into the side body. Does anybody else love this stretch as much as I do? Yeah, no, yes. All right, I'm gonna make my circles. I'm gonna rotate my chest towards the floor and let my arm come towards the floor, and then back and up, and I'm gonna open my ribs to the sky. I'm gonna keep making that circle until I feel like planting that right hand and rotating my hips towards the floor to come into my little spinal twist here in a lunge. Opening up through that left arm. And you might take a couple of breaths, just notice what feels good, and when you're complete, release, downward facing dog. Somebody gets stuck, your other left. See, we can all together, we can do this, right? All right. Option for dog series, although I'll warn you, we are going to be doing a little sun salutation, which will involve 2 dog series. So pace yourselves, my friends. Settling from there either into your child's pose, downward facing dog, rag doll, some resting posture, something you feel restful in, where you really have nothing to tune into but your breath and body sensation. love to ask you to notice if you feel different than when you arrived at the mat this morning. Or later, if you're doing this practice later in the day. And if so, what has changed? It might be a very specific physical part, it feels looser, stronger, more present, or it might be more of a spiritual, emotional thing. And maybe feeling more present, stronger, more relaxed. It's interesting how many of the adjectives that we use for the physical body are appropriate for the emotional body as well. Take all the time you like, maybe get a sip of water or what have you, and we'll find ourselves once again in Tadasana at the front of the mat. So Sun Salutations, there are a number of different ones, but I also have adapted this one to be slower and more breath-filled, and to give you more time to really embody the posture that we're supposed to be in. And I did this because I noticed that when people are just, for example, stepping back or stepping forward, they would kind of pause here because they knew that then they were going to be stepping forward or back. So like, okay, I'm like, that's not a lunge. I want you to commit to the lunge, right? So until your spine is long and you're breathing in that shape, you're not in that shape. Same thing when we do our spine extension, I'll say come halfway up, and a lot of times people kind of sort of, because they know that we're stepping, I'm like, no, come halfway up like you mean it. Fold like you mean it, commit, let that head hang completely, even though you know you're about to move, right? So it's a bit of a mind game to pretend that you're only going to be in that pose for like 10 minutes. And of course, it's just one inhale or exhale. So that's the biggest challenge, I think, with Sun Salutation. That, and that we're doing dog series twice. And if you've got any part of your body that doesn't love any part of that, you just need to then adapt, do your own thing. If you want to do cow cat instead of dog series, and then join us for the lunging and the folding. But it's wonderful spinal lubrication, right? Just all this movement of folding and lunging. So enjoy that part of it, fulfill it, and do the adaptations on the dog series. Feet are parallel. Body is powerful and peaceful and neutral. You might start in prayer hands. That's where I like to start Sun Salutation. Find, if you can, that nice ujjayi breath, a little bit of a throat contraction, hearing and feeling that whooshing sound of wind in the trees or waves. Maybe a soft smile. And most importantly, a real commitment to let breath initiate motion whenever you can. Letting your inhale sweep you out and up. Asking, is there more? Yeah, you didn't all move at the same time. Good job. On your exhale, nice deep fold, emptying, emptying, emptying. Is there more? Squeezing out the rest of that stand breath. Hands on shins, inhale, extend, halfway up. Exhaling, step back, right leg only, and hold here in your lunge. We're going to hang out for another full inhale, like a whole year of our lives. Exhaling, step back, downward facing dog. We'll be here for a full inhale, exhale. Inhaling, flow forward to plank, knees or feet. Exhale, chaturanga, slow, low push-up. Remember, your face should precede your hips. Inhaling, cobra or upward facing dog. Remember, you can also do upward dog on the knees. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Is there more? Inhaling, right foot steps forward. Only when the exhale comes, step the left foot forward and fold. Inhaling, root rise. Exhaling, resolve prayer hands. Tune in, notice heart rate. If you did take on any unnecessary tension in neck, etc., scan that, let it go. Okay, let's do the other side. Inhale, sweeping up. Is there more? Exhale and fold. Commit. Inhale and extend halfway up. Exhaling, step back, left leg open. Inhaling here. Exhaling, step back, downward facing dog. Full breath here. Intelligent hands, powerful core, head hanging. Inhaling to your plank, knees or feet. Soft jaw and eyes. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, extending cobra or upward facing dog. And exhaling, downward facing dog. Heels working towards the floor. We don't have to ever get there. Inhaling, left foot steps forward. Exhaling, forward fold, ragdoll, commit, empty. Inhaling, root rise. Exhaling, prayer hands, lightly connecting at the sternum bone with the thumbs. Notice these, what is created in your body. This might be something you want to do maybe every day. Make it a point. We're going to come down onto the mat and do some of the things that you often experience at the beginning of practice with me. I've got to change it up every once in a while. Have your block handy. We're going to just be doing a little bit in and out of bridge pose. And then at the end, we'll be adding the block underneath that sacral support. So some of us really benefit from putting a block between the thighs or the knees. Some of us can get that benefit just by imagining that we've got a block there. So whatever works for you. But we want to work our shoulder blades in towards each other, neck peaceful, make sure the chin is kind of lifted up and back. And as you're ready, on an exhale, belly to spine, spine to floor, raise the hips to your bridge. Is there more? Then inhale, descend as slowly as you can, one rib at a time. We're going to go in and out like that, maybe half a dozen times at least. I find it's perfect for some spinal decompression. Sometimes I'll even get a nice like clump up there in the cervical spine. Good, looking good. You guys are all keeping the footbed really flat versus letting the knees come away at all. Love it. Tuning into your breath. Tuning into every little sensation that you can. All right, next time we're heading up, we're going to hold the hips up long enough to place the block under the sacral triangle. I've got this nice soft block. I love these things. So make sure if you're using a cork block or something that you know, it feels okay there. You want it right on the belly triangle, not at all in the low vertebrae. And I emphasize that each time because even last night's class, I had someone who was an experienced yogi and they thought it was supposed to be just a little higher. And I was like, you do not want it anywhere near those vertebrae. And what you want is to, when your knees are bent, to feel a wonderful kind of tractioning through the low back. And when your legs are straight, to feel that your hips are perfectly centered on the block. They shouldn't be kind of dumping forward. If you feel your pubic bone kind of dump forward and down, move the block down a little bit. What are you finding in there today? Center part of the body holds us together, propels us forward, and I think often takes on a lot of tension in the process. We also know that with the legs straight, there's a potential stretch to get into that psoas muscle right here. Also notice the fight or flight muscle. Staying here only as long as it feels fabulous. And we'll come off the block nice and slow. Always bend the knees again, lift the hips, remove the block. And then please bring knees to belly, or if there's something else that calls to you, keep the block handy. We're going to do some spinal twisting, and depending on what you've got handy, it might feel thicker than you want. This is probably a little thicker than what my body prefers, but I'm ideally wanting you to find something that you would put between your knees and our spinal twist. Any of you who are side sleepers, ideally you would have a pillow that goes between the knees and maybe even holds your upper arm. So you're going to come onto your side body. Let's all go to our right side first. I'm on my left, but that's just sort of face. And what is really key, whether you're using something between your thighs or not, is having the knees be straight forward to the hips, feet flexed. And then you might want something under the head. If your head is kind of dropping way down to the floor, you can tuck something under. Exactly. So just check it out, see what you need to do. And whether you've got something between your thighs or not, just intend that you're creating a single unit, a block, if you will, of that whole lower body. And I'm in fact going to take my floor hand and put it up on the outside of the thigh. So if you're on your right side, it's your right hand. Then you're going to inhale and open that top arm to the sky and then behind you. And I'd love to invite you to kind of come out of your twist a little and return, and do that a few times. You can come all the way out or just sort of come back towards center and then open again. Do not allow that top knee to slide behind the other one. And then at some point, hanging out in your open position, and whatever arm positions feel good to you, I'm going to play with scooching my floor shoulder further towards the outside edge of the mat. And that's just going to give me a deeper rotation of the upper spine. And then I'm going to play with that back arm, bringing it all the way behind me, like I'm pointing at something on the wall behind. And then back behind again, or even maybe down towards the hip, but making a nice sweep, maybe even circling across the body and opening again. And allowing the head to play. Sometimes it feels so good to look behind, but then it feels marvelous to like roll it back to center and looking behind again. So what I call kind of WD-40, in and out, not holding all the way to one position. And I'm going to come out of the twist by returning to that starting embryo pose, side body. Deep breath into the ribs, the back. As you're ready, we'll create the stretch on the other side. Anyone would like me to grab them a folded blanket or something in a different dimension, give me a wave. At home, of course, you've got access to all kinds of goods. You know, ideally, what we're wanting when we put that object between the knees and thighs is neutral. So we're not wanting it to be so big that it lifts that knee really high, but we're trying to get out of that thing where the top leg is kind of hanging on the hip. Yeah, it's kind of amazing when you get the right things. There's like a right? And as I always like to say, we're seeking the here in yoga, but ideally in life. It's amazing how the right size pillow or getting your car seat angle right can be such a game changer. So is this side different as you're exploring with that back arm, as you're letting breath kind of lift you out of your twist and then giving you space to go deeper, exploring your head position? What are you discovering today? In your own time, coming into your embryo or resolving however you'd like. A few deep breaths, noticing. And returning to your back body, we're going to come into bridge pose again. And in that bridge pose, I'm going to invite you to add your foot hover. So you're going to ever so slowly lift one foot at a time. And even if you're someone who does do leg extension, for now, indulge me, just do foot hover, because there's often much to discover there. Namely, that there's often a fair bit of tension when you are in this pose and you release one of the supporting feet, some other part of your body has to take over. And I'd love it not to be your neck. And I'd love you to have the time to notice subtlety of what other muscles are doing the work. And is your hip dropping? Because if your hip is dropping, we need to wake up. It's usually the butt and the thigh of the standing leg that we need to fire up and participate. And if you go into leg extension, often the body just compensates. It's like, I gotcha. And let's come slowly down. We'll come into happy baby. So bringing knees towards you and then wide. You might be clasping the big toes, the blades of the feet. You could use a strap or a scarf across the arches of the feet so that you're able to really enjoy this one. One of the things that we'd like to be able to do in this pose, besides receive the stretch in the hips, is to take on the no neck tension. So to be able to draw the shoulder heads down the back body. Yeah, and even tilting your tailbone towards the floor. See if you can get that going. Yeah, and once you're there, of course, explore. Maybe you want to straighten one leg out and half straddle and then the other. All good. And then bringing those heels together and at the bottom, butterfly. And maybe you want to bring one foot towards each other, towards your face, and then the other, what I call like a little windshield wiper. You can raise the head or no. And then from here, we're going to be releasing into a resting posture where we'll settle into a little pranayama and shavasana of whatever sort. So you could be in shavasana or corpse pose, or my most restful pose for myself, and a lot of people love it, is you take your block, and if you've got a bolster, or you can make something, don't worry, I'll get it back, at home, like out of a couch cushion or a couple yoga mats. You keep your butt on the floor and then you recline onto the cushion. You might be in butterfly legs or taking the feet out wide and straight, whatever you'd like. But I love what this position does for our breathing, for our ease in the neck and the upper back and so on. Even the lower back can sometimes feel more at ease in this position. You could also, of course, return to laying on your belly when you started, child's pose, whatever you want. And we're going to tune in to our breath. It's been there the whole time. And now we're going to invite it to be slow and deep, wide. Let it settle into kind of just a steady wave pattern, no effort of any kind. And then I'm going to invite you for at least 3 rounds to join me in some breath locks. But if you're loving it after that point, you want to just continue it as kind of a meditative practice, feel free to do that. As you're ready, you will inhale and exhale and hold out. And this is just a light exhale. We're not doing compression breath. And as you hold out, being curious about the subtlety of sensation it's created, noticing your first instinct to breathe and holding just past that. Then as you're ready to inhale, let it rise up and then hold in internal breath lock. Softening around the sensation, eyes, tongue, jaw, heart, belly. If you're able to go directly into your next round of breath locks, do. If you need a break, that's all right too. Holding out and holding in. awareness of your body. Sense of space around you. Sense of the day out there in front of you. I invite you to notice how you feel about that day out there in front of you. How much delicious anticipation, how much it maybe feels hard. I invite you to really observe as you kind of almost like watching a play unfold and think about your day. Observe all the very subtle but powerful shifts in your material as you imagine each scene. My mom has a great mantra that she shared a long time ago, and that I've shared, of course, with our yoga community many times. If it's not a yes, it's a no. And it's very, very helpful, I find. So I would ask you, as you're going throughout your day, if there's anything that didn't strike as a yes, kind of investigate what that's about, and even investigate if you could choose to say no to that. Or sometimes maybe you can't say no to that very specific thing today, but you could take that awareness and move forward in time and space to then choose to say no to other things that perhaps a little further out you could say no to. The idea is that when we're getting to live life doing and participating in ways that are yeses, there's just so much less resistance. It's not as hard on us. It's more fun. We bring our best self to it. I want to thank you all for saying yes to getting to your mat today. You looked amazing, powerful, and peaceful. And I hope it really felt that way. And I hope to see you again soon here. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. Hope you have a great time, a great day being you. Have fun.